So ESPN comes out with their top 25 projected players in 2025 in the WNBA. Where does Caitlin Clark rank? Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. And join us for Caitlin Clark's crossover. It's tonight, Thursday, and it's every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7 on Mondays and 5:30, 6:30 on Thursdays, Eastern time, except for major holidays. It's a sports reporters type forum, and it's like part of our live show and talk about Caitlin Clark and all sorts of good stuff. So, Rob, not surprisingly, ESPN came up with their preseason top 25 rankings. And before we get into it, I just want to say I usually think these things are pretty silly, and I still do, because you're not ranking them how they did when the season just ended. You're ranking them how you think they're going to do during the season. So it's just all a guess. Like a person's coming off an injury, a person had a down year, a person was young and they might get better. You're just guessing. So you're ranking something, but guessing at their ranking, which just seems silly to me. But that's just me. Well, I say, like, what is that person at the end of the last year?
It's just like the draft, Mark. It's just like when all the drafts, you're predicting this. Oh, this person's going to do this. How do you know? They haven't played a game. How do you know?
How do you rank them for 2025 when they haven't played the season yet?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And you're not just duplicating. You're not just saying, oh, however they ended up last year, that's how we're going to rank them. So you're basically just guessing on all these factors I just said. So it's kind of meaningless because you have no idea. And then you don't know how healthy people are going to be and how they can mesh with their new teams and all sorts of stuff. You know, they could have a career year. You don't know. So to me, it's a silly ranking. But anyways, we'll pull it up and then you can tell us your opinion on it down below in the comments. We're on ESPN's website, and this is the top 25 players of 2025 in the WNBA. And at number 25, they have Angel Reese from the Chicago Sky. I always wonder, when you're the 25th person on a list of 25, it's almost like, well, we had to include her, so we'll put her last, but we'll put her last when we had to include her. I think she is one of the top 25, so I'm not saying she doesn't belong in the top 25. What do you think, Rob?
Almost like an afterthought, right, Mark? It's almost like, I'll put her on it. Yeah, okay.
Right. So, anyways, she's somewhere between 20th and 25th, I think, Rob, in the league. She's a great rebounder. Her defense seemed to have improved throughout the year and unrivaled. And we don't know if her shooting's better because it seems to have regressed after she improved one game. She's shooting it from too low still in the one preseason game she had that I saw. And so we'll see what happens, Rob. I think she can be, if she becomes a good offensive player and can make her layups on a consistent basis and improve her form on that, I think she could be first team All-Pro. I really do. I don't think she'll ever win an MVP, but I think she could be first team All-Pro, Rob, because she has that motor that more so than 99% of the other players, I think, Rob.
I agree. Yes.
So that's 25th. And number 24 is Ezai Megberger of Seattle Storm, who's a great defensive player. And she might, some people think she's the best player underneath the rim on defense. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. She was first team all defense last year. Then Alicia Gray's 23rd. Derek Hamby and the Sparks is 22nd. Now Aaliyah Boston is 21st. Do you think that's about right for her, Rob?
I might switch her with Angel Reese, actually.
Okay. All right, so she's 21st. She's a two-time All-Star Rookie of the Year, her first year in the league. And some people don't like her inconsistent play. We'll see how she plays this year. Like I said, that's why I think this list is silly. I have no idea how she's going to play this year with the new team. But anyway, she's 21st. Ryan Howard, who's actually a good offensive and defensive player. Oh. And so she's a good all-around player. I don't think she's a great player. Jewel Lloyd, she's a hard one to rank, Rob, because last year was her worst shooting year ever. So how do you rank her for the following year? Do you rank her based on her previous years and think she's going to get it back, or she's on a downhill slump because she's over 30? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a hard.
She didn't look good last year. Skylar Diggins, she's a pretty good player. I don't like her attitude anymore. Brittany Griner looked great in the first preseason game, and she was coming off an injury last year. She may have a comeback year this year, Rob. We'll see. She just doesn't rebound as well as I think she should for someone who's 6'9". Mm-hmm. She's got a nice offensive game, though. and tough to guard. Chelsea Gray, that's another one that's hard to rank, Rob. She's coming off an injury, and last year she played, but you could tell she was still hobbled. And she was still looked hobbled and unrivaled, but less hobbled just a couple months later in the preseason game the other day.
Yeah, hopefully she comes back to her form the way she was.
I don't think she's the point guard like people call her. She never even led the league in assists, but that's irrelevant to whether or not she's one of the top 16 players or the 16th best player in the league. She's not as good as Caitlin Clark, and she won't be this year, no matter what her fans think. Kayla McBride, that seems about right. She was an honorable mention type for All-Pro last year. Enrique, that's a tough one to rank. I think she's better than some people think she is, because some people think she's just a huckster. But you can tell she has 4.6 rebounds and 5.1 assists per game. She also gets 2.7 steals. So, and for free throw shooting is 92%. So you can think she's a huckster because she had a bad shooting percentage for a volume shooter, but she's a good all-around player. So I think you still have to rank her high, Rob.
Do you think with Paige on the team is going to help her?
I do. I mentioned that in a previous video. I think that Paige, who likes to be more efficient than her, maybe will have a good, influence on her, and maybe vice versa. Rika get Paige to, sometimes take a shot that's not a high percentage shot when the team needs some points or whatever. So I think we'll see. We'll see what happens, how the two of them gel. That's Kelsey Mitchell. Yeah, I think she shoots at a higher percentage than Enrique, so you have to put her ahead of her. But she doesn't pass much, and she doesn't play the type of defense that I think she's capable of.
Well, I think with the past two games I saw in preseason, her passing has improved. Actually, she actually moved the ball around. So that definitely will help her game.
In both preseason games, Rob, she passed better than she did most all of last year. No question about it. And she's capable of being one of the top 5 players in the league, in my opinion, because I think she's that athletic and that talented, despite her limited size. Satu Sabali, that's a tough one to rank, Rob, because she was coming off an injury last year. She didn't play a full season. The year before, she was first-team All-Pro. So I don't know where to rank her. Kalia Copper, I love her all-around game.
Yeah, I really like her.
So she plays a good, solid all-around game, and that seems about right. And she's probably better than Kelsey Plum, but Kelsey Plum, they have 10th. And Jackie Young, same thing with Kalia Copper. I like her all-around game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's 9th. Nanika Agumake is also a very good all-around player, and she's underrated at times. And they got her 8th. That seems pretty close. And Sabrina Ionescu, she was like number 6 in the MVP voting last year and just missed making first-team All-Pro. So this seems about right. And Jonquel Jones is next. She was MVP in the finals, and she was a little bit lower than Sabrina Ionescu in the MVP voting, but she was second-team All-Pro last year, and she's a former MVP in the regular season too in 2021.
I think she's the key player for the Liberty, actually.
She might be this year because I think Brianna Stewart's not as good as she used to be, and we'll see how she plays this year. Maybe she just had a down year. She's not that old. Alyssa Thomas, that seems about right. I don't like her personally. I think she's a dirty player, but she's very limited offensively, but she's a great passer for a forward, and she's a tough rebounder and tough defender. And then we have Caitlin Clark 4th. So I guess we'll talk about that. When the season ended last year, she was 4th in the MVP voting, first-team All-Pro, and I thought that was fair. I thought she was the 4th best player in the league when the season ended. Now, Brianna Stewart was inconsistent in the playoffs and then didn't play well and unrivaled, and then had a knee surgery, which was a minor knee surgery, and her three-point shot's been off in recent play. So we'll see what happens, whether she should be ahead of Brianna Stewart or not is kind of a tough decision. Brianna Stewart is a very good offensive player and a very good defensive player normally. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. Rob, what do you think of Caitlin Clark being 4th?
I think she should be up higher. I mean, I don't know how they're ranking it. If they just rank it by last year, that's fine. But with their team, she has a better team, better coach. She definitely is going to move up to probably one of the first or second best players in the league.
Right. If you're ranking her based on how she was when the season ended last year, 4th is fine. But if you're ranking her how she's going to be this year, I think she's going to be the best player in the league by the end of the year.
Right. So
that's 2 different concepts. I think she's probably tied for 3rd right now with Brianna Stewart, and I think she's going to be the best player just by experience and the fact that she's going to get better. And she's got better surrounding teammates and coach right now, which will help her game also. And Brianna Stewart, we talked about that as 3rd. Nafisa Collier, she was runner-up in the MVP voting. She looked great and unrivaled. She's on a rampage, I think, Rob, and she's going to definitely be, I think, Caitlin Clark's toughest competition for the MVP voting, despite the fact
Yes,
that.
I think so. She's another one. She's on a mission. She's going to prove everyone how good she is.
Yeah, and Asia Wilson, she was MVP last year. You can, she's in her prime. You can see why you're not gonna vote her, put her down. But I think it's going to be a close battle between Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, and Caitlin Clark for the MVP ballot this year. And I'm taking Caitlin Clark. I think she's going to win it, and I think she's going to establish herself as the best player in the league for the next 12 to 15 years, depending on whether she has a kid or gets injured or anything like that.
Well, Mark, you already deemed her like last year. You already did your preseason ranking with Caitlin Clark and the MVP.
Oh, yeah, I already voted for MVP because they did it with Asia Wilson. I'm just following their rules, even though I don't get a vote. In my mind, I'm voting for her.
Right, so you've already done yours already.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I figured I'd go over that because people like those type of things. I just think, at the end of the year is a much better ranking, for me to consider in the ruling and stuff like that. And so we'll see what happens. Let us know what you think down below about the rankings and what you think of that and what you really think is going to happen this year. Because if that's a prediction on what's going to happen this year, I think it's wrong because I think she's definitely going to be ahead of Brianna Stewart this year as a player.
Yeah.
But like I said, maybe Brianna Stewart had an off season last year. She had some injuries. We'll see. But I don't think so. I think Caitlin Clark is going to be the best player in the league at the end of the year. So even then, I think it's too low. Maybe 25 is too low for Angel Reese. I mean, people, some people don't like her, but at the same time, she was the best rebounder in the league last year. She got best defensive player for unrivaled, even though Nafisa Collier deserved it. But at least she was, I guess that would make her second if you just think Nafisa Collier was the one that got ripped off because they didn't want to give Nafisa Collier all the awards. She won the one-on-one contest. She got MVP. Her team was, during the regular season, was in first place. And she formed the league with Brianna Stewart. So I think they just didn't give her.
Well, I think Reese is over. I picked Reese over Boston, definitely.
Reese over Boston. All right. Well, she's going to have bigger numbers in Boston because she's not as good a team. But we'll see what her new role is. Supposedly, they're not going to play her underneath the basket as much, and they're going to give Camille Cardoza, who may be one of the top 25 players in the league this year, Rob. So it may, we'll see. If they give her a chance to shine, she's a better scorer underneath the basket, and she's a bigger body. So we'll see. She was drafted ahead of Angel Reese for a reason. And Cameron Brink, Rob, she didn't play in the preseason game, so we're not even sure if she's going to play in the first regular season game. She's coming back from an ACL injury. And we got Rickea Jackson, who also is a good second-year player that maybe could get in the top 25 this year. So we'll find out. All right, let us know what you think down below. If you like this video, share it with your family, friends, and acquaintances. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, what are you waiting for?
Do it up.
Notification bell. And so you get notified of our next video. And if you want, you can join us for Caitlin Clark's crossover. It's every Monday and Thursday, 6 to 7 and 5:30, 6:30, respectively, Monday and Thursday, Eastern time, except for major holidays, like a sports reporters forum type debate with guest podcasters. It's really cool. We talk about Caitlin Clark and all sorts of good stuff. So join us for that. And if you want, you can donate to the channel with super chats and super thanks down below. There's a link to PayPal. We'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.